So what if I told you it was possible to get in before the major trend reversal? What if I told you I had a strategy for you where you can be buying call options at the lows right before the stock explodes, getting the best entry possible, where you're literally setting the trend before you get in on the trend reversal? You would be getting in at the best entry possible for the biggest percentage return possible. And what if I told you can do it both ways, where you can buy put options on the top of the stock right before it crashes? Within this video, that is exactly what it is that I'm going to show you how to do. And I'm going to show you how I was able to buy an alert. The only time that I traded call options today was the best time possible. Literally at the lows at 2:56 p.m., I bought call options, and I had stated within the chat, I'm expecting a bullish move to 30 minutes to 45 minutes, and SPY absolutely exploded. I also went 5 for 6 on put options and did very, very well, as I was expecting SPY to crash at 2 p.m. and 2:30 p.m., and it did at those key time frames. I'm going to be recapping the trades that I ended up making today. I'm going to be teaching you the unique price action trading strategy. Let's get straight into it. I'm also going to be recapping Sava. I had a very nice scalp on Sava this morning with the morning breakout. As you watched my previous video, I was expecting it to crash, and then I said previous resistance should react to support, which it did at that $40 level. So I ended up buying calls for a nice scalp. So let's get right into it. So with this strategy, here's a couple things that I want you to understand. What I'm doing is I am identifying patterns. I'm identifying trends, and then I am capturing those patterns and I am capturing those trends right as they happen, using confirmations to confirm that that history is going to repeat itself. So in a sense, with this strategy, you can think of me as like, history repeating itself. So like a history teacher, right? I'm identifying trends, I'm identifying patterns, I'm looking for similar patterns, I'm looking for strategic ways to bank with trend reversals. And when I see that that pattern is about to repeat itself, and where calls make sense because it's extremely low and puts make sense because stock's extremely high, then I'm going to take advantage of that. So I'm doing this using the 1 minute, the 5 minute, and the 30 minute. But one thing that I've added to my trading throughout the past couple months that has truly given me a new strategy and has helped me tremendously with my trading, and it's going to help give you a better understanding on where the next 30 minutes are going to be, meaning you'd have bigger returns because the trade can work in your direction for up to 30 minutes. Now, I'm not holding that long, but this 30-minute candlestick strategy is going to help give you direction on where the next 30 minutes are going to be from the new opening 30-minute candle. And I'm going to show you how to use it, right? So what you're looking at on the left-hand side here, these are all 30-minute candles. These are all 30-minute candles. And the time frames, because this is the pattern that I ended up catching, and this is the pattern that literally got me in to buy calls right before power hour at the lows to make an insane return. So let's get into this. So this is 10:30 a.m. and the pattern that I'm going to be showing you is going to last up until right here, 12:30 p.m. So now we're going to compare this chart, which is the same day on SPY. And if you're looking at the chart, you're probably saying right now, wow, this looks very similar. You have this red bearish candlestick. You have this red bearish candlestick. You have this green trend reversal candlestick. You have this green trend reversal candlestick following up with a red bearish candlestick. See how these all look identical? This red, green, red. And then it follows up with another very bearish red candlestick. And then what happens when this sell-off forms? When this sell-off forms, SPY explodes. SPY explodes. This is from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. right here, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. So this is what we're focusing on, right? So in terms of puts, why did I decide to play puts? And in terms of my puts, I did very, very well in the morning. I was up 3% on my account in total. Had a little setback because I ended up getting some poor entries on puts, and then I held those puts, but then I scaled in and added very, very nicely, and I picked up multiple strikes, and I banked because SPY ended up going lower, hitting new lows on the day. And then I crushed calls, right? But in terms of puts, and let's talk like key levels, let's go over the best setups at the best prices here. So this is where it makes sense, and this is where I really started to scale in and even add more into put options, was towards this 2 p.m. period. So why should SPY crash towards 2 p.m.? I'm looking at this pattern. You have this red bearish 30-minute, you have this green 30-minute, and then as you can see right here, it follows up with the red bearish candlestick. It goes super bearish, forms lower highs, and then it sells off again for another 30 minutes. So you can see this red, green, red pattern at resistance, red, green, red pattern at resistance, and it's a very similar resistance level. And overall in the chart, if you zoom out of this, all it was doing was turning the previous support, the previous low of the channel with this pattern into resistance. It was breaking down, reaching for lower lows, and it was turning this pattern that you're seeing right here was occurring at a lower price, meaning the same pattern is repeating which is bearish, and it's happening at a lower price, which means that previous support right here, which was at like 367, is now reacting as a resistance. You see how this looks identical, right? So when I started seeing this occur, I hit it really heavy in terms of puts at 2 p.m. That's when I really started to scale in as it was, ripping, as it was dropping towards 2 p.m. And then I also hit puts at 2:30 p.m. because I was looking at the pattern, I was looking at the trend. You see how these candlesticks are identical, right? So once I confirmed in the confirmation, in terms of strong confirmation, it was truly right here. If we can follow up with a lower high on this third red candlestick, we should continue to sell off for the next hour. And that's what happened. It followed up with some lower highs. It started selling off. It was looking very, very bearish on the 1 minute and 5 minute. And then you can see right here, if it closes like this, what is going to happen? And this is why I rebought puts at 2:30 p.m. This candlestick right here, red, green, red, red, green, red. If it looks like this, what's going to happen next 30 minutes? I'm going to look for that closing price of the candle to be the high of that 30-minute candle on the next 30-minute candle. And you can see right here, the closing price of this candle was the high of the next 30-minute candle. So I'm seeing this and I'm saying, wow, I'm super confident right now because history is repeating itself. The pattern's the exact same. So if this repeats, this should get crushed and close weak at the lows. And that's exactly what it did. And then I banked on puts. Now, in terms of calls, why did calls make sense at 2:56 p.m.? So one thing you need to know about SPY is if it's trading low, if it's getting beaten down, it likes to spike at 3 p.m. It doesn't happen all the time, right? But I have that knowledge. I have that awareness of, if SPY is very oversold on the micro, odds are it's going to have a nice little spike towards 3 p.m., towards power hour, right? When it's oversold. So I combine that knowledge with this pattern, and this is the pattern. You have this red, green, red, and then big sell-off on that second red 30-minute candle. And then what happens? What happens after that? The next 30-minute candle, it explodes to the upside right at the opening. And you could see that history repeat itself, guys. Look at this chart. Look at this, man. Red, green, red. And look at these two red candlesticks, right? This is identical to this candlestick. This is identical to this candlestick. The candlesticks look the exact same. They're forming the lower highs. This opened up at the closing price and topped. This opened up at the closing price and top. It's closing weak at the lows. It's forming. See, this is crazy, man. Look at this. See this little tip right here, trying to go bullish towards the end of this 30-minute. See the little tip right there, and then it explodes. Boom. I'm looking at that. I'm saying, wow, this is about to explode. This is about to rip up. Because if that pattern repeats itself like it was doing, if you compare these 4 30-minute candlesticks, this is from 10:30 a.m. up until 12:30 p.m. You compare those 2 hours to these 2 hours, it's identical. So when I saw this pattern forming, which started occurring, right? So this history, this pattern really wasn't here until like 12:30 p.m. It wasn't here until like 12:30 p.m. So when I started seeing the same exact pattern developing right around this time, and it really began to develop and really began to offer big moves, was right here at 2 p.m. Because that's when the big moves occur. You could see the big move occurred on this red, green, red. This is the big move right here on that red candle right here. Red, green, red, big move. Another big move to the red side. Boom, big move to the red side. And then big move to the green side. Big move to the green side, right? So when I see all this pattern recognition repeating itself, I'm taking advantage of that. I'm like a history teacher studying back in time and saying, wow, I see this pattern. Other people aren't seeing this on the 30-minute. I'm going to take full advantage of this, and I'm going to put my odds in the favor of this pattern. And that's exactly what I did. Based off of this pattern right here, it should explode on the next 30 minutes. And you can see right here, same exact pattern. What does it do? It explodes on the 30-minute, right? And this little tip right here gave me even more confidence that that was going to occur. And it was oversold, hitting new lows, and then it explodes up on the next 30-minute. So that's how I was able to do it, in a sense. Those are the reasons why, in terms of like adding inputs and stuff like that in the best trades, those are the reasons why. Using the 30-minute candle, very, very simple stuff. Now, obviously, the 1 minute, the 5 minute, and it gets more advanced. But in terms of pattern and trend recognition, basically, I identified a pattern and a trend that was occurring on the 30-minute. And this trend was in development from 10:30 a.m. up until 12:30 p.m. That's when the full trend was developed. And I was saying, this is starting right around here. This is where I got super confident. I started to get confident towards 1:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. because I was looking at the chart on SPY and I was saying, these candlesticks right here are starting to look like these candlesticks right here. Everything is looking aligned. It's looking identical. And as the pattern continued to repeat itself, I continue to gain more confidence. You better believe, man, if I'm seeing red, green, red, 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 green, red, red, and the candlesticks look the same, you better believe I'm going to be super bullish here and go in on calls and have so much confidence in those calls because this pattern has been repeating itself for 4 30-minute candlesticks in a row. So there's your confidence right there. Plus you combine that with the 3 p.m. power hour pump, right? And then in terms of the bearish thesis with SPY, it wasn't just because of this pattern. It was also because just by looking at the chart, SPY was not only forming this bearish pattern where it hits new lows on the day. It wasn't only doing that. It was doing the same pattern at a lower level. See, look, this is your support. Your support right around here. This is your support. See how it's now reacting as a resistance? I mean, guys, just like look at this here. Let me show you exactly. So look at this. This is going to be on the one. Look at this pattern. Green, red, green, 2 big red bars. Green, red, green, 2 big red bars. Explodes up, right? Same pattern. And the reason why I'd be more bearish around here with this pattern is because, one, the pattern's already developed. So we're starting to see this. Well, it's like, Will, where do you really start to see this pattern developed? Right around here on this third 30-minute candle, you really start to see developed. And then as you see that it's repeating itself, I mean, right around here, this is the obvious calls because you see the pattern is fully developed, right? And in terms of bearish thesis, it's turning your previous support into resistance, strong top wick on the 30-minute, very, very bearish at previous support. It's forming a roof at your previous support, which is bearish, and it's forming the same bearish pattern candlestick, right? It's just the no-brainer for calls. It was just so obvious because of 2 things. The pattern that I shared with you on the 30-minute and the time frame. SPY's oversold. There's a bullish pattern that should occur for the next 30 minutes, and it's at 3 p.m. And we know SPY loves to spike at 3 p.m. It loves to have that volume come in when it's oversold. It makes perfect sense. What is going to continue to print? Based off the pattern, based off the trend, what is going to continue to print? The puts that are extremely high because SPY's been getting wrecked all week, or the calls right into the close at 3 p.m.? Obviously the calls, right? So you always want to ask yourself in terms of entries as well, would puts print at this 363? Is this where I should be buying puts when the pattern is like overall should be bullish for the next 30 minutes? Is this where a put would print? No. Puts already printed on this candle and this candle right here. On this candle right here, boom, calls explode up. That was the trend. That was the pattern. That's what I wanted to bring awareness to. I only had one loss. I only had really one main loss on the day. I ended up playing puts based off this pattern and trend repeating itself. I was expecting a weak close. And I was expecting that weak close to occur around 3:35 to 3:45 p.m. I played some puts. They didn't work out. And I lost some money on that. But overall on the day, this was a phenomenal day. I went 6 for 7 on SPY, and I went 1 for 1 on stocks. I traded Sava, and it was a phenomenal day. And the portfolio was up over 20% on the week. So in terms of Sava, I had a really good video on Sava stock. Some people decided to swing trade puts. I didn't want to swing trade puts. I wanted to day trade it. Unfortunately, it already crashed. But big shout out to those who took a risk because I brought some awareness to that within the chat yesterday. I'd explained to people, and then I posted the video later that night, but I explained to people that I'm seeing a pattern on Sava where, if we can get this morning gap up or spike tomorrow, it's just very likely to go green to red. It's going to be a beginning of a nice reversal, a beginning of a nice short. I'll be looking for a potential, day trading, swing trading opportunities for puts tomorrow with the red day bearish confirmation, right? We had people, one guy made like 1,000% return. It was absolutely insane. Shannon made a 10x return. It was absolutely insane. I mean, by 11:30 a.m., my portfolio was already up 3%. And then I had one loss towards the close. And then before that, I had 4 more wins. Like the portfolio is just booming this entire week. There hasn't been one red day. And Shannon, big shout out to them, a 1,500% return on Sava puts utilizing that pattern. I explained the pattern, how it was AMC to Sava within the chat. They took the risk to swing trade it and they banked. Blue chip, absolutely crazy, man. A 600% return today on Sava, total return 116%. But just big shout out to members within Trader Society, man. We got people who are consistently crushing it. Big shout out to Ricky, man. He absolutely crushed it. He alerted calls as well at that key time period, and he crushed on calls too. He was seeing what I was seeing, and he mentioned the 30-minute, so he sees it. Now, not everybody sees it in chat because, not everyone's on the same level of education. You have to put in the work, you have to study, you have to put in the hours, ask the questions, and not everyone just sees it, how everybody sees it. It takes time for these things to click. It took several months for things to click in terms of SPY, but it's going to take time. But he's someone who sees it, and he took advantage of that trend. He made a very, very nice return on SPY calls. So big shout out to him for seeing that. But yeah, let's get into the Sava play. So if you watch my video on Sava, I explained to you on why I was super bearish on this stock. Now, if you listened towards the end, I said I might look to buy calls if there's a massive crash tomorrow. My theory was it would bounce off of previous resistance. Your previous resistance is right here at $39. So one thing that I like to trade is overreactions. This is what we call an overreaction setup. Now, when you're doing this, you only want to do it the first time it tests, when there's back-to-back overreactions. So what do I mean by that? This is what I mean. Right here, this is major resistance. And you can see this major resistance is at like $40. That's where your main resistance is. Your main resistance, your main floor is at this $40 to like $41 level. This is where all your resistance is. Find a stock, has an insane breakout, has a crazy breakout to 51. It goes parabolic, the higher the better. And then what do you want to happen? What you want is you want a massive crash. This just had a massive overreaction to the upside, boom. Massive crash to the downside. In my video, I explained why I was bearish, but I didn't play puts because I didn't want to swing, and I didn't play puts on this today because it already crashed, right? I'm not going to play puts at poor prices, so I missed out in terms of puts, but it ended up working phenomenally. You can see it topped out in the pre-market at that previous closing price. You could have went short on the stock. There's brokers who allow you to short this and borrow the hard to borrow shares. You could have went short on the stock, but not the options with Sava. But anyways, right? I explained the puts, I explained the bearish part. Let's go over the bullish thesis. The bullish thesis was, initially, when it retests this previous resistance, if it can just quickly flash crash and it tests this previous resistance, it's likely going to bounce and react to support because that's an overreaction. There should be some sort of bounce at previous resistance. There was a massive breakout to the upside. If it has a massive crash to the downside, it should correct itself for a short-term reversal at that previous resistance, which it did. It ended up bottoming right here at $38, slightly below the resistance, but it rocketed up to $44. I ended up playing calls at 42, and it was at 9:42 a.m. I made like a 20% return in a couple minutes. I wanted to buy calls earlier. I did. I wanted to buy calls. I was looking at this, and I was sold on calls at $40. I bought the calls when this was at like around 41 right here. I bought the calls right here at 9:42 a.m. This is where I bought the calls. I wanted to buy the calls at a lower price. Why didn't I buy at a lower price? Because the spreads were too wide. The spreads were just way too wide. Even if you think it's going to go up, you can't be entering wide spreads, because if it goes against you, you're going to get trapped and you're going to be instantly down. It's going to be a terrible situation. So you got to wait for the contracts to stabilize, for the volume to come in, for the spreads to tighten up. And around that time, when I got in, the spreads were a lot tighter. It was a lot safer, right? With SPY, you don't have that problem. If you're trading SPY, there's always liquidity. You can get in, you can get out. The spreads are always thin, right? But if you're trading these fucking stocks, a lot of them have that problem. And if you get in too early, the risk isn't worth the reward of that wide spread, right? Even if you think it's a great entry and you think you're going to be right, it's not worth it, because you're going to be down so much instantly. And if you're wrong, you're going to get stuck bag holding very, very badly. And that will occur. There will be trades where you're wrong. So if you're entering in on a very wide spread, you don't want to be in on that, because if you're wrong, it's going to be a big loss percentage wise, right? And we don't want big percentage losses, and we don't want big dollar losses, right? Especially big dollar losses, but we don't want big percentage losses on contracts either. So yeah, that's why I decided to play calls. It was reacting as support. It was looking bullish. There was a shift in the trend right here in the pre-market. It cracked, reacted as a resistance, turned these pre-market lows into resistance, which is bearish. Then it started breaking out, reacted as support, bullish trend reversal candlestick right here. By 9:42 a.m., I was convinced that the trend reversed, because your previous support cracked, reacted as resistance, which is bearish, but then it had a breakout, and then it went back down to previous resistance right here, reacted as support, started bouncing, which is a bullish flip in my opinion, and then it started to rocket back up. And then Shannon, I believe it was Shannon who alerted puts right here. Very, very nice. I'm calling that. Probably using the pre-market resistance and then the bearish trend reversal candlesticks right here as well. So yeah, that's the overall strategy. That's the overall thesis that I really wanted to cover with this strategy. Obviously, there's a lot more to it in terms of like, well, how can you maximize wins and stuff like that. This is just teaching some of the basics, within the video lesson library and within the future live trading sessions and all of the webinars and all the live trading recordings within Trader Society. It goes over everything. And within the chat room, there's tons of value with education as well. But I wanted to share with you guys some of the basics, right? So that's some of the basics. And that is in terms of what I saw and in terms of that killer call play. That's really what it is that I saw in terms of the killer call play and the killer put plays for the day, right? So that's going to wrap up today's overall video lesson. Later this week, there's going to be a video, top 3 options to trade heading into this week, along with a SPY updated price action analysis going over the overall market. This has been a truly fantastic week. I hope you guys use it to not only celebrate, but to please study the trends, study the patterns, study the charts, study the video lessons within Trader Society. If you do want to be in part of Trader Society, this is the best time to be joining. It's the first link down below in the description. Once you join Trader Society, it's a one-time fee. It's lifetime instant access to everything. You can start studying right now. The video lesson library has over 100 hours of content. Within that video lesson library, you're going to get access to all the recordings of the live trading webinars, to all the recordings of the educational webinars that teaches all of the trading strategies that I've learned, that teaches the price action gap trading strategies, that teaches you how to master the SPY, how to master the overall market. And you also get access to the video lessons, not just the webinars, but the video lessons. The video lessons are going to show you short versions of how to use the trading strategies, right? Where to buy options, where to buy the call options, where to buy the put options, how to use trend reversal strategies, how to trade unique price action trading strategies, how to confirm that history is going to repeat itself, basically identifying trends, patterns, and then confirm that the trends and the patterns are going to repeat itself like it is that I ended up doing today, right? If you didn't use that 30-minute chart today, you didn't see what I saw. You didn't have that strategy. You didn't have that pattern if you didn't see what I saw in the 30-minute. And that 30-minute led me to perfect entries on puts at 2 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. in terms of ads, and the best entry possible on calls. And if I did not utilize that 30-minute chart, I would not have been capable of catching that trend. So timeframes are extremely important with this strategy. And I'm going to show you how to find these, how to identify the trends, how to capture them, how to utilize them the right way. So yeah. You also get access to risk management, position sizing, psychology, and mindset training within the video lesson library. You also get access to the live trading sessions, the voice sessions where you get to watch me trade live, to the Discord chat room. Within the Discord chat room, I alert all my scalps, all my trades real time, not for you to blindly follow, but for you to see what it is that I'm doing in real time, to see what strategies, what patterns I'm using in real time. So you get a better understanding of here's where I'm buying calls, here's where I'm buying puts, here's where I'm exiting, right? You also get access to the watch list, the stock analysis written version, and the daily updates within Trader Society. And there's a lot to it, man. There's a lot to it. If you want to check it out, it's the first link down below in the description. You can get started on your education today. I will see you guys within the chat. If you're in Trader Society, send me a message, send me a direct message. I will be here all weekend. I will be here. I'll be answering questions. And with that being said, the next video is expected to be on Sunday. If you're looking to invest into your education and get started over the weekend, now is the best time possible. I will see you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and investing into yourself. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and smash that like button.